We're joined by Kim Anderson, our crop marketing specialist, for a special edition of his segment this week for our online and YouTube audiences. Kim, good to see you.
Good to be here.
The economy in turmoil, of course. Let's take a look at what's happening in the crop and grain markets specifically.
Well, it's been relatively good for prices. You look at the KC July wheat. On these prices, we're going to look at harvest delivered prices. I think that's important to our producers right now. That KC July, it's up at $5. That's up 69 cents over the last week and a half. Corn's at $3.66. It's only up 8 cents. That's the Chicago Board of Trade DEES contract. The November bean contract, $8.74, up 32 cents. And cotton, it's only up 2 cents. Over the last week and a half. If you look at the cash prices around the state, Tacoma wheat $4.85, Snyder is $4.60 for wheat for harvest delivered, corn at $3.30, soybeans $7.88, and cotton about 52 cents. So we've had a good run up in the commodity prices this last week and a half.
I'm sure a lot of people can assume the coronavirus is the reason behind this. Let's talk about wheat and soybeans in particular.
Well, corona is part of the reason behind it. There's China's doing some things that we probably need to talk about. On the corona, people are hoarding the bread, pasta, the flour. That's not going on only in the United States, but around the world. So the millers and the bakers are trying to buy wheat. But you've got China coming in. They bought wheat this last week. You also look at some of the things that they're doing. They bought this year on soybeans, the last 2 months in beans, they bought 6 times more soybeans in the last 2 months than they bought all of last year.
Let's talk a little bit more about what's happening in China relative to the markets.
Well, there's quite a bit going on in China. This last week, they bought 12.5 million bushels of wheat. Of course, that's one good reason for wheat prices to go up. But they also bought 225 billion bushels of soybeans. We just talked about that, 6 times more than they did last year. However, if you also look at their programs, they're raising the subsidy for corn, and that means China's trying to get corn produced this year. They're not raising the subsidy for soybeans, but the soybean subsidy is already higher than corn. So you've got China in our wheat market, you've got China in our bean market. As long as they stay in, I think we're looking good.
Do you think they will continue to buy at this pace?
Yes, there's a possibility, especially for soybeans. You look at soybeans, they buy about 3.2 billion bushels of soybeans a year. You've got Brazil and Argentina harvesting. There's some underlying scuttlebutt that the quality is not as good as it's been in the past. They're having near record or record harvest, but it's less than they expected. So yeah, I think China, and with our agreement, will stay in the bean market. They normally import 124 million bushels of wheat a year. They only got 12.5 from us, but they tend to import that from many suppliers around. I think they'll be back in the market for our wheat, and I think that'll help stabilize our prices at least where they are.
What kind of guidance do you have for Oklahoma producers? Should they be selling wheat right now?
Well, you've got $4.85. We've been saying it's going to be $4.75 to $5 if you've got test weight and protein. If they're nervous about price and they can't afford lower prices, then I may go in and just say forward contract 10% of my expected production. In case it did go down, at least I got part of this $4.85. There is some potential we could get up closer to $5 or maybe a little over, but in this environment, who knows what's going to happen. We could be up $1 or down $1.
Okay, Kim, thank you very much. We will see you again soon. And we want to let you know that SunUp will be back with an all-new show on OETA coming up on April 4th. We will see you then.